to Focus on Parliament on Civic Space TV, brought to you by the Center for Constitutional Governance. I am Kwagala, your host. The stage for the 2026 State House contest is set with 8 presidential candidates duly cleared by the Electoral Commission to seek the mandate of their fellow compatriots for a 5-year period. On today's edition of Focus on Parliament, we discuss the dynamics and the issues shaping the 2026 general elections race and what this portends for the country. Also, on the program, we highlight the scramble by the political parties to field candidates and also win over the support of the masses in respect of the parliamentary contest. Joining me to make a sense of this topic is a panel of esteemed personalities whom I now have the honor and the pleasure to introduce to you, our esteemed viewers. Let me start from my immediate left is Professor Mwambutsya Ndebesa, who is a mainstay on the program. Professor Ndebesa is a distinguished historian and a political and social commentator. Professor, it's a pleasure to have you this morning. Say hello to the viewers.
Morning to you, morning to fellow panelists and to the viewers there. I'm glad to be here to share with you on this very important topic of electoral politics and how it is shaping the developments in Uganda.
Many thanks indeed, Professor, for joining us. Next to Professor is the Honorable Salaamu Musumba, a seasoned politician and a leader of the opposition political party, the People's Front for Freedom. Honorable, many thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you, Fakwa. Thank you very much, Kwagala. And thank you for having me again. It's been a long time. Always a pleasure partaking of the wisdom of the Prophet of Ndebesa and also making sense of who we are through our history. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, Honorable. Let me just quiz you briefly on
What about Dylan?
I'll get to him just after this. On the aspect of the tribulations of your leader, the chairperson of the Council of Eminent Persons of PFF.
Yes.
We understand there was a court session yesterday which ended in a fiasco. What is your reading of that situation?
Well, I think the country has degenerated to an extent that we have rogue judges on the bench presiding over very sensitive human rights issues. And they do not have even the courtesy, the common sense, or even the judicial code of conduct to give even an impression of free and fair space. And so what we witnessed yesterday when Dr. Kizza Besigye appeared in court with Haj Obeid Lutale sent chills in all of us and in many Ugandans who believed that there was something remaining of the rule of law. I mean, how does a judge lose his temper? And how does a judge shout in a court? How on earth does a judge exercise such prejudice and bias that he continues even to be called a judge? Justice Baguma Emmanuel. I mean, it's obscene and tragic to this country that we have gone past cadre judges. Now we have rogue judges.
Next to Honorable Salam is Mr. Talwana Ernest, who is quite a regular on the program. Ernest is a lawyer and a social commentator. It's a pleasure to have you, Ernest, on the program. Say hello to the viewers.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here, glad to be on a panel with well-respected and well-decorated individuals who I have the honor to even be next to, and it will be as much a learning experience as it is an interactive experience.
Many thanks indeed, Ernest. Honorable, let me return back to you to set the tone for the discussion. Now that we are discussing politics and of course the high stakes 2026 general elections. Your party has reached the, should I say surprising, but rather quite an interesting decision to not field the candidate in this contest.
Yes.
Why is that so?
A decision was taken in the best interest of ourselves and in the best interest of the struggle for freedom, for us to free the space to allow a unified presidential candidate to be arrived at. And this we did out of our long experience in elective politics, where we have been viewed as the obstacle in providing a united opposition. And so we took it upon ourselves to ease that space, to allow the Alliance for National Transformation, a party we have a memorandum of understanding with, together with the National Unity Platform, who we've been involved in discussions over a long time, to be able to find that one candidate that we can all present to give Ugandans a fair chance to change the circumstances, the political circumstances in which we are. And yes, we are still at it. And that in itself is a new situation for Ugandans. And they have to deal with it as they learn from it. But we, from the People's Front for Freedom, are happy to have made our contribution to the process that will finally get us the unified candidate that we are searching for.
Speaking of the proposed cooperation
Yes.
agreement arrangement,
Yes.
which you now confirm even on the platform that you've
Yes.
had discussions
Yes.
with the host of other opposition parties,
With two other parties.
yeah.
Yeah.
The National Unity Platform and the Alliance for National Transformation.
Yes.
One wonders, considering that we are already in the thick of the campaigning period, but there has not
Not
been...
yet. We are not yet in the thick. We got 2 months to run, and so many things a day is a long time in politics. So we are not yet in the thick of it.
So we should expect some white smoke in the coming days.
The white smoke will come even on the eve of an election, because we have an existential threat we face. And this existential threat, as it continues to unfold and Ugandans begin to see what we have seen for a long time, then they will understand that we really have the political lenses and the patriotic spirit to help Ugandans resolve the big political issue on the table of longevity, of old age, and of a tired system. So we are happy to do our bit, and we also want to be the adults in the room, to be able to show Ugandans that, listen, for us to redeem ourselves as a country and as a people, we need to bend backwards and reach out to each other to fix this problem before the problem fixes us.
Honorable Salam, before I move on to Professor,
Yes.
this week, specifically on Monday, you hosted an event at the party headquarters where you launched the PFF election strategy.
Yes.
Could you please unpack for us what this means, and in the context of the proposed cooperation arrangement you are considering to conclude with the other opposition parties? Have you been able to harmonize this and perhaps
We don't need to
present...
harmonize. We don't need to harmonize with anybody about who we are and what we stand for. This election is not about roads. No. Because those roads are not being walked with freedom. The focus for the People's Front for Freedom is freedom first. to free ourselves and free this country from the stranglehold of family rule, from the collapse of a system. You know, this is the end of an era. If people haven't watched the goings on, this is the end of an era. You're talking about 40 years, and that's a generation. And so the end of an era brings within it too many twists and turns, too many noops and loops that usually take down nations. And so, this being so, we are resetting our agenda. We have called it the freedom agenda, in which freedom comes first. Freedom is the guarantor of peace. And so, on our agenda, freedom first.
Thank you, Honorable Salaamu, for your...
And then, there are other issues of resource management. How do we manage the people of Uganda? And how do we manage the society of Uganda? And how do we manage the resources of Uganda? What is our proposal? Our proposal is that we have never been seated in comfort with ourselves as a country. And so we need to retrace who we are. We are going back to the 16 regions that united at independence to negotiate for Uganda, the constituent parts of Uganda. And so we want to take resources back to those areas because the centralized power has instead grown corruption, grown nepotism, grown lack of inclusion. The sign to see this is when you check on all the people who occupy government offices. Look at the RDC, look at the DPC, look at the RPC. Those are the people of the state. They all look alike. And so we would like every region to be able to speak to itself and use its resources. I've given an example of Karamoja, for instance, which is considered the poorest region in this country. It has marble, it has gold, it has cement. And where do their resources go? Because the people of Karamoja are only known for guns and cattle rustling, not known for the resources that I've mentioned. That cement comes to Kampala as Kampala cement. You also see it as Simba cement and Tororo cement. There's no Karamoja cement. And the people of Karamoja are wallowing in poverty while their wealth is taken over by people whose names they can't pronounce.
Excellent.
You go to Acholi.
Reflections.
Look at Acholi, a land that is only equal to the prairies. It's been invaded by Balalo, gun-wielding fellows, you know? And people that are recovering from camps are now faced with looking at guns and cattle. They have the biggest reserve of oil. But the people that control those resources don't look like them. They are suffering from post-war trauma. And the guys in charge of their resources are not them. We are saying, listen, this project has failed, called centralized power. Let us share the power and share the resources and share the wealth of ourselves. People have told me, Salam, you're taking us back. I said, yes, I am taking you back to where we missed the turn so that we find ourselves. I said, no, that is old-fashioned. And I said, listen, if we are old-fashioned, why is it that when you die in Kampala, you are not buried in a cemetery? You English-speaking Lord, you're taken back to your village. What does a dead body want in your village? It only speaks to the fact that, listen, we are who we are, and we should be proud and use that as a basis of our development, our coexistence, just like China has done and other successful entities have.
Professor, listening to Honorable Salaamu and building on what she has highlighted, what do you consider to be the key issues shaping this election contest of 2026 at the presidential level?
What should be the ideal maybe, and
vis-a-vis what is the reality?
Honorable talked about the most important issue as being freedom, as issues of freedom. Me, that is not what I take as should be the priority, should be the central issue. I agree with President Museveni 100% when he made a statement to the effect that he was replying to Europeans, to the people in the West, and saying, while for you, you are running nations, for us we are trying to create nations. But we disagree now on the strategy as to how to create the nations. That's where we differ.
Isn't freedom an essential element to
it is an essential but not the most central. It's not the most central. To me it is justice, but let me build the point which I am making here, is that what should be central to politics in Uganda should be how to build a nation state, because we don't have one. We have a geographical expression, as Metternich of the old would put it. And that translates into what you see happening, this politics, transactional politics. You see, we don't have value-based politics. We don't have principle-based politics. We have transactional politics. That's why you see people hopping from party to party. Yeah? They are hopping from party to party. They just look for an opportunity. Scratch my back, I scratch yours. If I can give some few examples, you had politicians like my friend Kamya, the IGG. She left public service. She went to FDC.
No, she went to Reform Agenda.
Reform Agenda, then FDC. Then when they didn't make her the chairperson, she said, for me, I left civil service to be a big leader. So it was transactional. She was transacting herself with the party. So she formed her own party, the Federal Alliance. Now when that one Uganda did not provide for her transactionally, she went to NRM. And she's not the only one. Even Amama Babazi, transactional. It is not the principle that had brought him to NRM, because he wanted to be the president. When they couldn't make him a president, he formed his Go Forward. When the Go Forward couldn't give him the transaction he has gone back to NRM. You can talk about all of them, Kenya and whatever. It is politics in Africa. If I can go beyond Uganda and give the example of Tanzania, you had a certain Rwasa. Is it Rwasa or somebody like that?
Who joined Chadema?
He was CCM. He wanted to be a president, transactional. Yes. He just wanted something from the party. When they couldn't make him president, he joined the opposition. When the opposition didn't give him presidency, he went back to CCM. Now what is that? You see, that is transactional politics, not issue, not value-based, not principle-based. So what we have in Uganda is actually we don't have a nation. And I disagree with Honorable here about wanting to go back to the tribal enclaves, and that one will not create a nation.
It will sustain.
It will not create a nation. Let me explain to you.
Yes.
Yeah, we have failed it. It hasn't failed because it was not based on firm foundations.
Yeah.
So in the modern states, in the modern nation states, and more so these plural societies and post-colonial states, we cannot go back to ancestral principles and values.
That's what we are.
That's what we are doing, but we are doing the wrong thing.
We are
what we should be doing is now, building foundations based on what we call civic values. Since the French Revolution, most nations have constructed nations around civic values. What do I mean, or what are the examples of civic values? In Uganda, we should be pursuing the issue of equality. Unfortunately, we are not. Equality, social justice, so that we do not have this selective application of law and justice. We should be having the rule of law, which brings in a bit of the freedom. We should be bringing in equal participation in national affairs by all citizens, not leaving out some citizens, not saying that some citizens will be quietened, like the Minister of Constitutional Affairs and Justice. He said, if you don't keep quiet, if you don't keep silent, we shall silence you. And this is a very person who not long ago was quoting Voltaire, is it Voltaire, that even if I don't agree with you, I am ready to die for you to have your own opinion. Now he's saying we are going to silence you. That's not what we should be doing. So we should be fighting for equality and justice. And there should not be monopoly for breaking the law even. I have seen people breaking the law, not following justice, and they seem to be monopolizing it. Let nobody have a monopoly over breaking the rules. Let's fight to have equality and justice, and that's how we shall create a nation. But if we want to go back to our traditional, ancestral, cultural identities, we shall fail to have national solidarity, because national solidarity can only be constructed around civic principles. Because in Western world, in Europe especially, where they created nations area, they used force. They actually eliminated. They used the elimination. If you begin with the biblical one, they actually annihilated. You annihilate people, you kill people, you displace people, you assimilate forcefully. That can't work in the 21st century. What should work in the 21st century is building solidarity and identities around civic values. And we have failed to identify these civic values. If you go to NRM, which is leading us, which is leading the stage for politics now, they don't have those principles.
That's the fundamental question. So what happens?
So we don't have the foundational principles.
Where the government has taken the state captive.
Yes.
Aren't the people supposed to intervene and perhaps decide on how they want to be governed directly?
That is what we should be looking for. Unfortunately, we are not looking for it. Because we cannot break this country again in order to bring it back. It will break completely. It has happened in many countries. In Africa, the Somalia is no longer there. Sudan is no longer there. Congo is no longer there. And many others are going to break up because of selfish individuals and people who join politics without having anchored their politics in values, in those civic values I was talking about. They just want to take advantage transactionally. Let me join politics so that I can promote my people now. My people meaning your family and your relatives and your kinsmen and women. You see, that's the challenge. We do not have these universal principles that cut across all ethnic identities. I mean, if you talk about justice, who doesn't want justice? If you talk about equality, if you talk about equal participation, if you talk about accountability, that cuts across. But if you are going to go back to those ancestral, cultural, heritage values, you will not have a united country, you will not have national identity, you will not have national solidarity, you will continue fighting over those identities, different identities, until the state breaks up. And that is where we are heading if we don't reverse our trend and have foundational principles, put them in the constitution, teach them to our children in schools and out of schools, in formal education, non-formal education, informal education should promote civic values, which are universal values that cut across all different identities.
Interesting perspective by Professor Ndebesa, but I would contend that we are not any different given our current situation? It's a contradiction.
We are
in
not any
terms
different from what?
from
what
what
you're
you are
describing.
proposing and
No.
describing.
So
That's
what
the
you're
solution.
describing, which has failed.
But the one I am prescribing
Yes.
is equality.
Yes.
And look at Uganda now, the way the government is running. Now look at processions, the current issues. Yesterday, I heard the police spokesman saying he's going to arrest those NUP people who are dangerously using the roads. The same was being done by NRM in Ruweru as NUP was doing in Busoga. But why are you arresting one and leaving out the other? I have always given examples here time and again in the Kawempe North elections where Narkora was stopped from having a procession and a rally at Kawempe Mosque before the Electoral Commission allows them. But Nambi the following day did exactly that, even in a worse way in terms of crossing the road, but she was being escorted by police and guarded by police. That is an equal application of law and selective application of the law, which will create annoyance, which will disturb people, which will cause people to be angry. And you know, when you are joining politics and you are competing, when you are angry, anything can happen.
Ernest, it is desirable that as a nation we have a free, fair and credible electoral exercise. But given our current political climate and context, is this possible?
No, but it's achievable, but it's not realistically possible right now. Obviously the people before me have spoken at length, and they say when elders speak, the child listens.
We want to hear you.
But I am. It's just I'm giving credit where it's
We are
due.
not your Georgia.
No, I just giving respect.
Thank you.
But I will say that as has been explained before at length, obviously it comes down to values. What are common uniting values as a society? What are we looking to? What are we pursuing? I cannot speak for everyone, but I'll speak from my own perspective. When you become an adult, there usually certain values that you have been taught, and then there are those that you aspire to as an adult. And I'll say that from my limited adulthood, I'd say there's certain things that you aspire to: basic dignity, respect, and the pursuit of happiness. And obviously this comes in many forms. But how is this achievable? This obviously can be achieved by everyone seeing that we can all respect each other in our varied differences, and we can all mutually grow and thrive. And how does that happen? It usually happens from the most fundamental things, and this is just respect for diversity. And more often than not, you'll find that in Uganda, and I'm speaking as someone who's observing it as someone coming into my own, that there tends to be a lack of respect for diversity. More often than not, there's always that reflexive need to have one voice that trounces another. Yet that's not how most societies thrive. There's a beauty in accepting.
Is that speaking generally or in a political context, strictly?
It's speaking generally, but even in political contestations, there's no one voice that is right or wrong. They're just varying voices. Now that obviously means that how do we come to a common ground and agree that yes, granted that is true, and this is also true, because of the varying truths. How do we all come and say that this is what is expedient? And now obviously in a society like ours, where majority feel that, or not majority really, but the reigning status quo is that one truth is the only truth, and others are just insignificant. This is what creates contestations. Yet we all want dignity. We all want to be heard. So in my limited view, I will say that is one thing that I feel that we struggle with in our political reality. We do not have this idea that varying voices can matter, and that is one of our biggest problems.
In fact, moderator, I wanted to follow it up on that respect. For diversity is one of those civic principles I would refer to. And we have got a mantra called the 3 R's, that recognition, respect, and representation. If we in Uganda recognize that we are all equal and with equal dignity, as he's pointing out, and then we know that we have representation. Representation should not be only in political spaces. Representation in the economy, representation in education, representation in, politics, representation in judicial, whatever. Equal representation of all of us.
In the army.
And in the army,
Yes.
that's very good. In security generally.
In the army.
So if we could have equal representation, equal recognition, equal representation, and respect for dignity, then we shall craft a nation. Short of that, if representation is skewed in one ethnic group or one social group or one identity, if respect for dignity is given differentially, that is the one I was talking about, that you have differences in the application of law, then we shall not have a nation. And we should have had a nation in our priorities in these elections and political exercise.
Ernest, before we go in for a break, I want to ask a rather curious question. Is it still worth it to conduct elections in Uganda given the outsized military character of the current government? Because whereas it's now appearing like it's just a repetitive democratic ritual, if you like. But with the very heavy cost to the citizen, do we still need to have this thing?
Yes. I mean, the moment we give in to apathy, it creates a situation whereby those who wish for no representation to happen to win, and that is problematic. It leads us to slide into fascism, and one of the biggest problems of fascistic societies is that when one voice only reigns supreme, it creates a problematic situation whereby a society can stagnate, a society cannot innovate, a society cannot think. And one of the ways for society to think and to embrace its diversity is through the electoral process. So
do the Chinese have it?
They do not, but they have representation from the lower councils upwards, and those councils take the opinions of the people. So
the point I was trying to make is that representation alone or elections alone is not the panacea for some of these challenges that we face as a post-colonial state. But I'm not ruling out elections, of course.
Yes, but there's merit in representation and hearing varied voices. Even in seemingly autocratic societies, there's some form of an exchange of ideas. There's some form of criticism that is allowed, and when that is not represented through elections in our own political dimension, it creates an illusion that everyone is in agreement, when in reality not everyone is really in agreement about various opinions. And if we let that not happen because we believe that we are in a dictatorial society and whatnot, it's problematic. I'll return to my point of stagnation. It creates stagnation, and stagnation is unhelpful, especially for a society that is seeking to grow.
Thank you, Ernest, for your thoughts. Focus on Parliament takes a short break. Do stay with us. Plenty more to come.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back. You are watching Focus on Parliament on Civic Space TV. In this segment, we discuss the political party preparations for the 2026 general elections, especially with respect to the parliamentary contest. Early this week, the National Unity Platform released its list of the successful applicants who now have the privilege of being the flag bearers in the forthcoming parliamentary electoral contest. Honorable, I want to quiz you on this particular subject, given that the political party which you head,
Yes.
the People's Front for Freedom,
Yes.
is yet to publish the list of the successful applicants, who then would have the privilege of holding your flag in the contest. But let us first highlight the fallout in the National Unity Platform, where a seasoned legislator, and this is just one instance, the Honorable Segona has been eliminated in favor of what I would ideally describe as a political novice. How does this, in your assessment, ring a bell of trepidation and apprehension of what is to happen in the next parliamentary electoral cycle?
The problem that we inherit subconsciously is the problem of loyalty that is threatening to turn into royalty. Loyalty should never, it's very important, but it should never miss the balance. Because once the balance, the equilibrium is broken between professionalism or what you call merit and loyalty, once that balance collapses, the cracks that it creates can torpedo the entity you're setting up. And so what NUP is grappling with internally is, we see snippets of that, but I am not able to tell you with certainty what it is. Because I have also had stuff between, there's a Magola who is there. He has a big story. If he ever breaks it, then I'll be able to talk about it. But before he does, no, I will not. The first thing for a political party would always be, logically, is to hold ground. Hold what you have, and then build on it. You don't keep changing building blocks. You will collapse. It's a basic, natural thing.
FDC has collapsed.
FDC died. It didn't collapse.
It died a natural
It
death.
died, and it was caused to die. It was killed in broad daylight. We don't even have to waste time about it. It was killed in broad daylight. We spent months telling you what was going on. And when it finally happened, it didn't happen with us. Some of us, the founder members, because we saw it coming. We knew the setup. We knew what it was meant to do. And that too could infect others. While it was done to DP, UPC, and FDC, and likely to NUP, it did it to itself. The NRM did it to itself. And so we all suffer in this political environment. We suffer infection, political infection from the environment. So NUP must have good reasons why they did that. And if they don't, they'll pay. They'll pay.
You can even pay when you have good reasons.
No, when you have good reasons, the collateral damage and the political debris, you can handle. But this one, putting all the matters on table, you can see that it's not seated comfortably in the party and in the country. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But if it was football, you cannot remove a Messi and put what? Medina Mwendwa. then you'd never score. So it requires the party itself to understand why they took that risk. Why did they take that risk? What are they talking to, what are they telling the country? Because they've juggled many things. They've juggled Nakawa. They've juggled Ginger. Okay? And so, other things remaining equal, I think there's going to be a bit of hitch that they'll have to deal with. But like we all deal with, in our party, given the short time we have, it's largely deployment. We will deploy our best troops.
Exactly,
So
that's the point I want to...
if you are not deployed, understand that the commander-in-chief wants you to fall in line. We have a battle to fight, an existential.
But that is what they are also
Because
doing.
there are
If that's what
That's
they
what
want,
they are doing.
listen, if that's what they want, that's them. I can't speak for them. I am speaking authoritatively.
You are just commenting
for
now.
me, I'm only commenting about them, but I'm giving you authoritative information from my team that we are deploying you to carry this freedom agenda for us, to be our voice, and should be you be the choice, we will expect you to pursue it using another platform called parliament, another platform called local government.
Honorable, there are concerns broadly from a number of stakeholders, including the general populace, that the opposition political parties are strangulating the concept of democracy. They advocate for it outwardly. They want to see it manifested and promoted in the politics of the country, but they do not want to uphold the same principles and values internally. What have you got to respond to
No,
that?
they're not right. We have put into place processes that lead us to that. That's why you see we didn't present a presidential candidate, because we also ran out of time. We could have stampeded. We could have put Dr. Besige on the ballot from prison like we have done before. We refused to. We could have presented a candidate from amongst ourselves. But we opted that, given the time and the battle and the enemy, we needed a different mechanism. So if for that we are found wanting, yes, they are right. But we can justify it. We didn't have the time.
Strategy?
Tactics too.
When should we expect your party to publish the list of successful applicants for the respective member of parliament?
I think in a week, we should be able to, the full list. And you see, you got to do background checks. Right now, for instance, you have so many people that have not gotten, who believe that they haven't gotten a fair hearing from their parties, and they want us to provide them, to deploy them. And we are evaluating that and wondering really, what would you add to the struggle? Or are you shopping?
Thank you, Honorable, for your insights. Professor, the Honorable Segona yesterday hosted an event at his residence and declared that he would run as an independent candidate in the forthcoming parliamentary contest. But let us now evaluate the broad impact of this on the country's political landscape. A number of dissatisfied aspirants from the NRM party primaries, then NOP, I don't know for the other parties, what we could have as a manifestation a continuation of this pattern, what is it likely to portend on the forthcoming parliamentary contest?
Before we go to the likely outcome or influence, let's first also analyze the causes. What causes that one? It is exactly what I said before when I started, is that people are in politics and the organizations that we do have are not anchored in the principles, and individuals are going there for transactionary politics. I will go back to finish on that question, for example, of Segona. And my colleague here talked about balancing the boat, balancing competence with royalty. But for me, royalty should not be necessary to the individual leading the party, but also royalty to the principles, to the values.
To the founding
Principles of the party. Royalty to the individual who is leading, to the principles, and then competence. In the case of people like Segona and my friend Bagara, is she Bagara? Honorable Joyce. In my opinion, they are wrong.
Who is wrong?
Those two MPs, and maybe UNOP was right to not to give them a ticket, in spite of their competence. You see, we talked about balancing.
Yes.
Politics is not about intellectual competence as if it is a university or a PhD thesis or whatever. It has to be practical. So we are talking about the principle of, if at all NUP also was basing their actions on principle, but they didn't want this massacre man is who? Gentleman. Mpuga to get the 500 million. And they, I think, passed a resolution there in their party. That's what I'm thinking. I might be wrong. That money had to be returned. And then there was a follow-up of signing.
Of an apology as well.
An apology, and then they requested members of parliament to sign a petition against those who took the money. You remember that story?
Yes.
Condemning.
Taking a stand.
Yeah, taking a stand.
Yeah.
I think those two refused. And many others maybe. So those who refused, the party has to take a stand. Like you in FDC, more or less, although you are not the leaders, you took a stand that whoever took the money from President Museveni must confess or return it. When they didn't, you separated. So, in my opinion, it is not a question of competence only. It is also a question of loyalty to the principle. This time I'm not talking about loyalty to their principle as Chagulanyi. I'm talking about the principle. If the principle is that you shouldn't take that 500 money and you dilda around it, if I were in Nupor, so I would not select you. By the way, let there not be a mistake to think that democracy is always about elections. I think my colleague there, that's almost where he wanted to fall. Democracy is not only about elections, as we know. Elections is about other elements of democracy are participation, separation of powers, accountability, justice, and things like that. So elections is not only, you can't simply say we are having elections and therefore we're having democracy. No. Far from that. Two, selecting of candidates, whether it's in PFF, whether it is in NUP or whoever, doesn't have to be based on votes necessarily. Yeah. We have in Europe countries, actually the best democracies in Europe, better than the one of UK, which is based on this winner take all, first past the post. They have got what we call proportional representation, which actually, what I here was talking about, proportional representation. Now, in proportional representation, the party can decide whom to locate, whom to put on the party list. Deployment. And then the population will vote the party. Because competence also is important, and then loyalty. Loyalty, I want to repeat myself again, loyalty to the party principle or principles or values. So if the party knows that X is more loyal to our principles, is competent, they can choose to have you represent the people. By the way, let me correct this mistake also. The candidates, they say they are flag bearers of NRM or NUP or FDC or UFF, isn't it? You are a flag bearer of NUP. You are not a flag bearer of which constituency? Of Busiro. No. You are a flag bearer of NUP, and therefore you must go by NUP's principles and values. So if you divert from NUP's principles and values, then the party will say, you go and get the flag bearer from the citizens of Busiro as he has decided to be independent. You get me?
Yes.
So if you are a flag bearer of PFF, you must abide by the principles and the values and the norms of PP or PFF. If you don't, PFF has a right to neglect you, to remove you. You can go and stand as an independent. You get me? So when you accept to belong to a party, you must have discipline also. There is a question of discipline. It's not a matter of going to say, me, I am competent when I go to parliament, I am a star and whatever, and you don't listen to the principles of the party. But even you are not supposed to be insubordinate to your superior. That is also a principle.
Even to your own, because then
you are superior. In an organization, you cannot have an organization function effectively when you are a subordinate and you are insubordinate to your superior. It doesn't matter. I can take the organizations like a university. Don't think that the vice chancellor is the best professor in a university. In any case, when the vice chancellors leave post, they go back to teach. And to teach as just a mere lecturer, senior lecturer, professor, not even head of department, not dean, not even principal. And the moment you come from being a vice chancellor and you accept to teach in economics, say, like Dumba, I think the former vice chancellor has gone, you have to be subordinate. You don't express insubordination to your head of department because you are one time the vice chancellor. No, that's not how things work. Or if when you are a president and you are replaced, you have to be subordinate to the president that is in office. You get me? So all these things must be balanced very well. So if NUP or any other organization wants to keep its cohesion, it must also look at being loyal to your leader, but not blindly, but also most importantly to the principles that govern that organization and its values. And if you go against them, the party has the right to kick you out. Not because you are a star or whatever, because...
To replace you, not to kick you out.
No,
you have to talk democratically to replace you.
Okay, to replace you.
Yes.
And if you are principled, you also stay. You see, if you are not in a party just because you want to scratch my back, I scratch yours, you want to be in a party because you want a position, that's where the problem lay. Let me give you an example, you who may not know this history. There was a certain Kakonge, Edward Kakonge. He was a star in UPC. The first Secretary General of UPC. Intellectually, he was very competent. But there was a Guru conference, the 1964 or 5 conference, UPC conference, when they actually...
Call it a National Delegates Conference.
A National Delegates Conference of UPC.
Yes.
Yes. And they manipulated him out, actually, by the way, because there was rigging in that exercise.
That's the time when Rusoga took trainloads of false delegates.
They put there Ibinjira anyway. Ibinjira replaced him as the Secretary General. Kakonge remained in UPC. He said, you people are wrong. You are wrong on principle. You are wrong on actions. But I will remain in UPC. And he remained in UPC. He didn't go away because he disagreed with them. And these people who manipulated him out, within 1 year they had fallen out with each other. They had imprisoned each other. Kakonge remained. Unfortunately, he was killed by Idi Amin. But on principle, He remained in the party. In the Conservative Party in Britain, in UK, when you have problems within the party, Conservative Party, as those prime ministers you have seen been changing, they did not... Theresa May and others, they were actually 4 in a very short period of time. They did not abandon the Conservative Party. They did not. They remained in the Conservative Party. They didn't go to the Labour Party because there were problems within their party. So I want to believe that if you are not joining a party on transactional basis because you want the party to give you positions, you can remain within your party. Actually, when you remain in your party and you have that competence, which we assume they have, you are likely to change that party back, bring it back to Muramwa, as long as you have the party at heart and you have principles at heart. This business of being, to say that you are competent, that the one who is replacing you, yes, the one who is replacing you may not be speaking the good English you are speaking, may not have experience in parliamentary democracy as you have, but he could be loyal to the principle. I'm not saying that is the case. That is far from that. Because this question of that I am more competent, I don't know, competence in what? As a teacher, let me help.
Parliamentary work.
Let me demonstrable competence, actually.
Let me help you.
On account of his record.
Let me help you people who are not teachers. Now I'm going to bring in. Competence is not only based on like communication competence alone, or articulation of issues alone, or even knowledge, which we call cognitive competence. Competence can also be relational competence. Relational competence is how you relate to others, and that that magnet you have to yourself in politics matters. Let me tell you, we even all of us who are here, we could say that we have more competence in terms of cognition, of understanding how systems run, how governments run, and things like that. That with Segona and Mpuga, they could be having more of that competence than Kyagulanyi. But Kyagulanyi has relational competence, he has that attraction, he has name recognition, therefore he has that competence which is above theirs. We were here, we are probably more competent in terms of understanding issues than Kyagulanyi. But you can't attract people like Kyagulanyi can attract. So in politics there is also attraction. So this young man you are talking about, is he young even? Who is this musician? Walukaga. He could be having more attraction, he has more relational intelligence than Segona. You never know, I don't know. That matters also. Let's not say
I know
because the other one
after
is
elections,
yes.
we will be, I want us, me and you, to discuss musicianization of politics.
Professor, in a minute.
Actually, who are these other people that make us laugh? Comedianization
of politics.
We are likely to comedianize the politics.
Professor, in a minute, before I move on to Ernest.
We are likely to comedianize the politics.
The considerations you are expressing are valid and sound, but should they necessarily fly in the face of justice? Because Segona has been contending that the process was opaque, there was no prior publication of the interview manual, the outcome of that assessment has not been published, he has not been informed of where he fell short as a component of the assessment process. So, aren't you therefore justifying an injustice by insisting that simply on account of loyalty to the principles and values of the party, the relational aspect of that, Walukaga should be the flag bearer? Let
me tell you, even in public service, where competence sometimes is based on certain achievements you have had, they normally, the interview panels normally say, we are not liable, we are not liable or something like that to take the best in terms of the awards you are giving. There are other considerations you make which were not in the interview. So I suspect that disloyalty, insubordination to the party leader could have been part of that which was not being considered by the panel. That's one. Then the consideration about the being disloyal to the principle of not taking that 500 million may not may not have been the consideration by those who were on the panel. So there are other considerations you may not even publish in the public if you find that publishing them might cause a challenge. Not every truth must be said, right or wrong.
Right.
You cannot simply say that because somebody is lame, yeah, he's lame. But are you going to me to say, you man, you see, this is a lame man. Yeah, and you say, this is lame or whatever. So the truth is not necessarily supposed to be said at all times and everywhere. There are certain things that the party may have considered. But I'm saying, I'm using the word may because I am not part of them. But the point I'm trying to make is that selecting a flag bearer is not based only on those known competences of skills, of education that you have, of even popularity you have. But you may be having popularity even in your constituency, but you are going to break up the party. Now the party is bigger than the constituency. You can be sacrificed. In politics there is sacrificing. You can sacrifice somebody for the better good. If you think that candidate is going to disintegrate the party, like I think partly some members like I'm still going to forget him, this Masaka Honorable Mpuga. I mean, he brought that confusion which partly affected the process. If you know that so and so is likely to break up the party because of his behavior, not because of his competence in parliament, then you can say, this one, let us put somebody else, not because he's incompetent. I can give you the example of Tanzania and Nyerere. Nyerere left behind and convinced his party to leave behind Mwinyi, not because Mwinyi was the most intellectually competent or even governance competent. He had other considerations. He said, since we need a Muslim, because we can break up this country by putting somebody who can speak good English like me, but you break up CCM and break up Tanzania. He put there Mwinyi, knowing that Mwinyi by then didn't even have a degree. He has a diploma from Makerere University. He left him there, knowing that, but if you can keep Tanzania together, which is fundamental, which is the principle number one, I better put Mwinyi from Zanzibar to Zanzibar wanted to go away. It was feeling jittery that it was brought in Tanzania, in Tanganyika, but annexed but dominated. For the sake of keeping the union, let us leave Mwinyi. I hope people are getting what I'm driving at.
Yes,
so
there are so many delicate balances.
There are very many delicate balances
so
you have to
political and social groups.
And social groups and the considerations so that you balance the boat, not necessarily because so and so is intellectually competent. This is politics. This is not PhD, masters and teaching.
You see, you're creating a team. And that team must have all the ingredients that make up a good stew, a good loaf of bread. And so you must be able to put a pinch of salt, so many grams of flour, so many eggs. So
adapting
some pepper.
Some pepper.
You have to adapt
if you want fruits. So it's a delicate thing.
That's what we call political skills. You must exercise political skills, not just skills, not just cognition, not because of understanding and sophistication in the mind, because that's not what runs the country.
Ernest, what is your assessment? Are political parties evolving into mere convenience vehicles? And what could be the implication of this on the country's multi-party democracy outlook?
What would you mean by convenience vehicles?
Where politicians, as Professor has pointed out, simply jump onto them.
That you jump off a border
and
you wave another
elevating
one.
them to political office, but when they do not
get to the office, they go away.
Sincerely believe in the values and principles of the party.
Well, that, as has been drummed before by the panelists before me, it comes down to what our values are. I mean, just in this current cycle, we've seen a lot of parties coming up. But when you ask them what is their core value, there's none that can be pointed out. I will borrow from Western societies how they keep categorizing themselves into leftists, centrists, and people on the right and far right. So at least you understand that this party falls within this side of the prism. In our case, there's no should I say broad spectrum that you can say that this party says that we are outrightly centrist, we are outrightly far right, or on the left. There's just some sort of survivalism.
No, UPC is very clear, my dear. UPC is Social Democrat. FDC was center-right. We in PFF continue to be center-right.
NRM is left.
NRM is left.
Also, they said.
No, they are. As the things even they do, the way they transact political business, they are left.
But at times, for survival, you can adapt. I remember...
That is why they keep saying we are multi-ideological.
I remember one time...
Nothing.
I remember FDC one time being a member of this international organization where there were people like Savimbi.
Yes.
Which was far right.
Yes, it's far right.
So, and it was
center-right.
And the FDC, you are being supported by the Conservative Party in Britain.
And it's also center-right.
Conservative Party is center-right?
Yes.
Conservative Party is right.
It is right, center-right.
No, it is
they
right.
come from the center to the right.
No, it is right.
Anything in between there is okay.
No. Conservative Party is right.
Yes, it is.
It is not far right, but it is right.
Yes.
And you are not right.
We are.
FDC is right?
Yes.
No.
We are right.
No.
We have no socialist value, socialist activity. We believe...
Okay.
Yes, Ernest.
I can read it for you.
I think what Ernest is asserting that is in the context of our
FDC was not that.
landscape, those lines are blurred. They are not strictly adhered to. But Ernest, you carry on.
You built it better than I could. But yes, the fact that it is blurred and there's no clear distinction means that a lot of opinions end up feeling like where exactly does this fall? And one thing you'll notice as someone who interacts with a lot of ordinary Ugandans, majority do not even know what they are looking at in a grand scheme. Majority just go with whoever is an ideologue or whoever speaks a language that feels relevant to them in a particular moment.
Yes.
And because there is no clear distinction of where each party falls in terms of the political prism and in terms of ideals, it creates a problematic situation where people cannot stand for values. People stand for whatever sounds appealing or whoever speaks the right language at the right time. And that's likely the situation that NUP finds itself in. It finds itself in that majority of Ugandans do not have an inherent value they're going for. So let's just pick whichever musician or whichever...
No, they're just responding to a frustration.
Yes.
In fact,
it's a trauma response.
To come in a bit, I'm told that there is a lady somewhere from one of the constituencies in Masaka who actually withdrew her signature in Parliament. She's a member of Parliament. She withdrew her signature.
City.
From I don't know, maybe not city.
On what?
On that Mpuga issue, but she has been selected. I thought she would be dropped. She's not from Masaka City. It is another constituency in Masaka. In Greater Masaka. That means they are not following that principle also to the letter.
Yes, Ernest.
Yes. So the mere fact that there's no clear distinctions means that people just ride waves, and the danger with riding waves is that you never know where the wave leads you.
When the tide goes.
Sorry, that where the tide leads you.
Yes, the weather changes on the way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You have climate change.
Exactly, and there's a danger in that. So as a panelist before me have been saying at length, we need to find values. If we do not find values, we're going to fall in whichever line, and that's problematic. It's deeply problematic.
Honorable Salam, what can you tell the Ugandan citizen watching you as maybe some sort of patriotic nugget? As
you say we are asking ourselves and asking our nation to think normally in an abnormal situation. And that's not right. The community is responding to real issues of existential threat. So, all these parameters you're providing for them, they're only looking for a society to stay alive, to have another chance tomorrow. Until we are able to look into a mirror and give ourselves an opportunity to live well and thrive, we will be in this vicious cycle of failure. And for me, what kills my heart is that the people who speak the biggest English cannot fix a thing. They can't even fix a spoke in the bike. And so we need to go back and work it out. And the platform we are providing for ourselves as the People's Front for Freedom is that you go back to who you are. Start with the values of your community, because that's easy for you. Then collectively, we will aggregate those values to be ours as a nation. But you cannot tell a nation to have values when the components of that society it speaks for or it lives in are valueless, or even their values are ignored. For instance, look at a land law where you standardize and make a uniform land law for Uganda. When cultures have different land laws, you go and tell the Acholi who have communal land that no, you need a land title for everything, and then, I mean, you're messing them up. You go after the war, you say, no, don't worry, don't go on to this judicial system. You can do matoput. And then you don't do matoput. And then you also don't do the justice system. You leave a community hanging. So, spare us all this crap of Westminster for now. Let us first rediscover who we are. Let us come as strong entities into the place called Uganda, our common home, and aggregate all those values and also work out how we all partake. Because I'll tell you, and for me, I really have no reservations about this, that you go to a police station and they're all Kanyareru boys and girls. You know where Kanyareru is? No, it's on your way to Mbarara, Sanga, a school that was set up 20 years ago as a privilege, okay? And it has had State House scholarships building from there. When I was chair of the Committee on Presidential and Foreign Affairs, I know exactly how it started and how it has grown and the output it has made and the way they brag about it, you know, to disenfranchise the rest of Ugandans. Because there's no Kanyareru in Busoga. There's no Kanyareru in Lang. So, when a community is being undermined using this whole thing called unity, that now we have national values, where are national values without family values, without community values? We will not accept that we continue, we go forward in this kind of deception, disempowerment of communities under the guise of building a nation. Because a nation is built by constituent parts. So Ugandans, please don't become too English. Be the Musoga you are, be the Muganda you are, be the Muteso, be the Mugisu, be the Langi, be the Mchiga, be the Mnyankole, be the Mtoro, be the Mnyoro. First, and then we will unite in peace and in respect with our values that we carry from home to the nation. Because look at the way, in Uganda here, Okuwemula, what is it? Vulgar language. It's unacceptable. But you can't run down an entire tribe, an entire nation by vulgarness. Which community accepts that?
So the Baganda don't Kuwemura.
No, they don't. In their tradition.
Have you seen these border people who are also from Buganda Kuwemura?
They are not Baganda because it's a trade
That's
language. You know, it's a trade
That's
language.
not true.
So,
Every
if
tribe
you...
can Kuwemura.
No, not in this way. Not in this way. And please
So
give
which
it to the
tribe
Baganda.
Kuwemura?
You know, these fellows without identity.
Who are those?
Who come to Kampala and get lost because they can speak Luganda.
Who are those?
They are there from all over the place. This is a collection point. It's like a dump heap. So, give Uganda.
You are dodging my question.
Who are they anyway? I know there are boys who have sold land in Itendero and they've packed in.
So they have no identity.
You asked me to tell you who they are. They have come from Itendero. There's a Chifumbira in Wandegeya. There's a Katanga in Wandegeya. There are Sokosos. Once you hear Kasokoso, you know that is now a parking yard for Batsoga. You know it is Bafumbira, then you know it is people from Chisoro. People have come with their identities to the town, even in their settlement places. Okay? So we are saying, listen, let us stop this pretense. Let's be who we are, so that I know what the norms and traditions of my home are and which I carry to the country. And I believe that's not rocket science. Where will we bury you?
I can be burnt even, I don't mind.
So where do we do that from?
You can do it in Kampala City.
We will wait for your will. But I know of only one Ugandan for now.
I want to leave a will for where I will be buried.
You see?
They can bury me anywhere.
So you see, but going by the trend and the practice, we are always sending off our dear ones, our colleagues, ourselves, and they will tell you, after you have had a ceremony here, they'll say we are going home to be buried at home. So please, let us not just be buried at home. Let us live at home and come and seek the rest of Uganda when we are at peace at home with ourselves.
Professor, apply your historical lens and cast a gaze into the future. What can you tell the
You are asking me the history
as a
of...
concluding remark?
He is asking me the history of the future.
Yes, no, that
History of the future.
Story of the future before it becomes history.
The history of the future is that Uganda is a post-colonial state. Now that is the past, but the trend of the post-colonial state and all post-colonial states actually, which were not yet nation states by the time they were colonized. You see, our colonialism is different from, say, in other countries. She had mentioned China before.
Yeah.
I know that more than 80%, if not 90% of Chinese are Han. They are called Han Chinese. They are almost the same people. South Korea, they are the same people, although they are related to North Korea. So most of those states which were colonized were already nations.
Or parceled out.
They were already nations, but Africa was not yet a nation.
We were
Uganda is a multinational, multicultural, plural country. The Tower of Babel we read in the Bible can be found in Uganda. 5 linguistic languages where we cannot hear from each other: the Sudanic, the Luo, the Bantu, the Ateker, and our friends the Kalenjin, with some ethnic groups. Therefore, to craft a nation here, we may not dwell much. I'm not saying we should know what she's talking about, because we should have shared values, shared principles, shared norms. How do we have those shared? Because if we use the principle of ancestral values, ancestral, cultural, traditional, customs, values, and even mythology, we shall not have shared ones. It is not easy because we were different people and we are different people. So that's why I say the way forward, the history now, the trajectory of such a countries, even like USA or Singapore or Brazil, they came up in their constitutions and other documents, they came up with those which are shared, which can be shared and then you believe them in. You teach them, you groom them, you socialize them. And these universal ones I have told you before is like if we accepted the principle, for example, of justice and equality, which actually is dividing us. If you asked me, by the way, a manifesto principle of these presidential candidates who have stood that I share in common is that one of Munyagwa. Rusania, I don't know, but that's not the principle he's standing on. Whether he believes in it.
But that's what he has said.
Listen.
So we don't understand.
No,
what
I
he's
will
saying.
tell you what he has
What
said.
is it?
I will tell you what he has said. Not that he will be, I know that he believes in it or not. He has talked about equality in Uganda. He has said it in his manifesto. He has said that we need to promote equality and justice. Look at Uganda now. Some areas are 60% multidimensional poverty of Ubo statistics. They are more than 60% poor. Others are 10%, others are 3%. She has been talking about people who are taking over positions. You didn't mention the electoral commission. They could be people from almost from the same area.
Some village.
That is injustice. That is injustice, not equality I'm talking about. We need equality when it comes to, say, giving out jobs, giving out scholarships, access to credit, access to power, access to all these things. We should be sensitive. We should be very sensitive about distributing resources, dignity, power, equally throughout the country. So the principle of equality, which I don't think any community would be against, the principle of justice, and what he termed as diversity, what?
Diversity in thought.
Accepting diversity. Yes. Yeah, accepting diversity, the principle of diversity. That is where we should go, so that we have got shared norms, shared values, shared principles. Those are the ones that will bring us together. But if we want to go to ancestral values and customs and heritage and language, that is what will bring us together, I am afraid we shall not come together, because we must have shared values, shared principles, which are there, which countries like USA use it, which countries like Brazil have used it, Singapore is using them, India tried, but this Modi man is bringing them back, and even the French, after the French Revolution, they used those three principles. Those of you who did history, you remember them. It is equality, egalitarian, fraternity, that is solidarity based on equality, and liberty. And those are universal principles. They didn't go to whether you are Britannic, Bringade, I don't know what, because they also had some tribes in France, but they transcended those identities and went for identities that can be shared equally throughout the country. And anybody who goes against those shared principles, you bring him to book. You are talking about an equal sharing of public resources, yes, an equal sharing of scholarships, an equal sharing of power, an equal sharing of opportunities. Yeah. Let's make sure that whoever does things which is against equal sharing of opportunities in this country is shunned, is brought to book, is isolated, is publicized, so that we all know that we reward equality and punish segregation or discrimination. The challenge we have is that we are rewarding corruption. You can see elections which have taken place, like SEC, which is supposed to direct us. They rewarded those who were involved in corruption. If you reward corruption, if you reward people who do not accept unity in diversity, the concept was unity in diversity, those who want to cocoon themselves, those who are bulldozers, that they don't want to be tolerant, we isolate them. As long as we isolate them, so that people know that the system we are operating rewards equality, rewards justice, rewards people who are upright in terms of tolerating and accommodating the others, rewards accountability. That is how we shall develop a nation. But for you Like the speaker I normally talk about, our speaker Anita Mong, who went to a constituency somewhere in Rwengo where there was Sise Namudu, and did tell the whole nation that stealing public resources and bringing some crumbs to your people, that is okay. Such a person is rewarded, then you are tearing the country apart. We should make sure that we reward principles, we reward uprightness, and we reward social justice.
I must appreciate you, Professor Mwambutsya Ndebesa, Honorable Salaamu Musumba, and Mr. Talwana Ernest for your able participation on today's edition of Focus on Parliament. Many thanks to you, our esteemed viewers, for your company and for watching. Much appreciation to the production department for keeping us live on air. Our dear viewers, please engage us on our various social media platforms. We are on X, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel and also for the proceedings of this program. We'll see you next time. Be blessed.